Hey y'all, so finally back, been out of town for almost 2 weeks, and I have a list of gardening chores that I need to get done. I needed to get them done prior to leaving, but it was just so hot, and I knew I wouldn't be able to have the person that was taking care of our house and our dogs water, and so I just opted to leave those in the containers because it was easier to water the containers versus me telling what plants needed to be watered. Those of you that garden know the struggle, but got some boxwoods that need to be planted today and have some zinnias. I went to TLC and I had some August bucks that I needed to spend. Today is August 31st, so I may pop over there today and get a few extra things because I think the August bucks at TLC are use them or lose them, I think. So I still have some stuff left, and I just wanted to add some pops of color to the front yard because a lot of the sun patients have kind of just fizzled out, especially those in the really sunny areas in the front yard that tend to get pretty dry without hand watering. So we're gonna get some zinnias planted, but it is overcast and cloudy here today, and we've had quite a bit of rain, and I think next week is expected to be cooler and overcast as well, so it's the perfect time to get these boxwoods planted. And the zinnias, I know people will say it's just kind of a waste of money, but they will self-seed and maybe pop up in some places. But I'm just really itching for a pop of color up here. Some of the sun patients are doing really well. The ones that get hit with the sprinkler really well, those do well, obviously, and I won't be pulling those out. I'll just be tucking some zinnias in here and there. So anyways, why don't we just turn around our camera and we'll get started. So these are the boxwoods. Have 2 large ones and 3 small ones. I got these a while ago. I've had these in containers for a while, and they've needed to go into the ground. You can tell some of the leaves that they're a little bit stressed, but overall glossy and green and healthy. So we'll get those popped in the ground today. We'll get some plant tone in there. And then over here, I have 3 flats of zinnias. When I went yesterday, I just thought these were so pretty. So I picked them up, and we'll kind of pop them out into the landscape just wherever we deem necessary. So let me just set my camera up over by the street and we'll get started. So I'm gonna just go through and pop these boxwoods where I think there are some dead spaces and where I just wanted to add more boxwoods. When I got these boxwoods, I got them specifically for up front. So we're gonna pop them in a couple places and see what they look like. Okay, so here is the placement. We're gonna do a big boxwood here. Will obviously be much shorter when it goes into the ground. We kind of have a dead space right here, so I want to fill that in just a little bit. And then there's a self-seeded coneflower that is right where I actually want to plant that. So I'll transplant that coneflower. Another one's going here. I always thought that this was a little bit of a void there without an evergreen, so I'm gonna pop that one in there, probably move it over just a touch, but we have a sprinkler head that's right there, and I really want it to kind of go right in that spot. So I'm also thinking about sprinkler heads and watering. The next one's gonna go here. This has just been a single for a while, and I kind of want everything to be in groups of 2 or at least 3. So, and then the next one is, I actually didn't move this one, but this big one right here is going to go where this variegated one is. We'll transplant this variegated one and then have a small one that is popped right back over there. So again, this one is gonna go in that spot right there. So we are gonna get started digging holes for these boxwoods and then show you the final result of that, and then we're gonna plant some zinnias. So I'm gonna speed this up just a touch for time purposes. and circle back when we're ready for the zinnias. And also, the front yard looks okay. There's a lot of things that are heat stressed up here. There's a lot of things that need to be cut back, so we're going to be doing that as well. Like this little lime hydrangea right here, you can see that there's a lot of dead on it. I realized one day that it got really dry. This spot doesn't get hit, obviously, with the sprinkler system. And since we kind of revamped the sprinkler system with 12-inch heads to help out, it's gotten quite a bit more water, and you can see that it's pushing a bunch of new growth. But I hate the way that all this dead looks from the street. You can really see it. It sticks out like a sore thumb. So I'm going to go in there and clean all of that stuff up. I'll probably cut back just some random things. A lot of the salvia needs to be cut back. I cut back the purple coneflower before I left for 2 weeks, so that's looking okay. The penstemon probably needs to be trimmed back as well. So we're just gonna have kind of a maintenance garden day as well as a planting one. So all right, got all the boxwoods in place. Here's the big one here, makes that 3. This one, I will keep this one relatively small. Another grouping here. Still need to take the tags off. I transferred the variegated to there. A big one got put in place here. And I ended up not putting that one there just because right there next to that holly, the roots were gonna be crazy. So ended up popping it right here, and it kind of balances out this one here, and then there's some down there. So I think it gives it a good balance there. But now we are going to get zinnias planted, and I'll do the same thing. I'll speed it up for time purposes and show you the after result. All right, well, we got everything done, so I will go around and show you the zinnias. I'm not sure what type of zinnia mix these are. They were just labeled as a dwarf variety. So the boxwoods are winter gem. I love winter gems. They're my favorite boxwood. They don't bronze too bad in the winter, in my opinion. They stay really nice and shiny. I love the new lime green growth on them. I just like them way better than like mountain varieties or velvet varieties or something like that. So just my preference, but they do get pretty large. The average size is about 4 to 6 feet tall and wide. So I do keep them in size check, but they're just my preference on boxwood. So let's flip around the camera and let's look what we did today. All right, so we got a bunch of zinnias just popped in here. I got some lamb's ear replaced. I really struggle with down here with lamb's ear, and that's my second time to replace that lamb's ear. It just doesn't get a ton of water, and everything slopes down this direction, and it gets the hot afternoon sun from the south direction. So it's just a tough spot, but I really like how the Helen Von Stein lamb's ear look there. So I'm going to give it one more shot. I just need to be a little bit more diligent with watering it. But I just really needed some color. Ooh, there's a swallowtail butterfly. See if you can see it. Right by me. But I really was just really needing some color out here. Again, you can see here. Let me zoom in real quick. Right there, the pink magenta color. The sun patience, they did well in some spots, and other spots they didn't. I planted these knowing that they were going to be more of a pain than they were probably worth. And even though I knew that, I still went ahead and planted them. And I kind of paid for it in some spots. It's just when it's, you know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I get home from work and I don't want to sweat my tail off. I don't want to come out here and water these. So honestly, I think that I will order some dwarf variety seeds and or harvest seeds from these zinnias that I planted if I really like them. And then I'll just start them indoors next year. And then I think that that's what I'm going to plant as my summer annual out here, just because there's certain spots that just get so hot and zinnias can take some heat. Or pentas. I'm not sure which. I really like pentas out here. I've tried them in the past. The hummingbirds love them. The pollinators love them. And they hold up really well to the heat. They can get a little bit dry. They don't do a bunch of wilting. So we'll see. But hey, Margot. So we'll see, but either pentas or zinnias are probably going to go up here. Even though we revamped our sprinkler system up here to 12-inch heads, we still have some plants that are just too tall to get around those, and there's just too many tree roots and things like that to totally revamp the sprinkler system. So we kind of just have to work with what we have up here. And the rain has certainly helped up here not look quite so tired. It's still... There's just still a lot of plants that are coming out of that struggling phase. It was just so hot for so long and we didn't have any rain, which was opposite of spring. But I think we're going to kind of turn the corner here. And this next week is supposed to be really nice and cool. So that will also help things out quite a bit. But the color, even though there's pinks in it, there's lots of oranges and yellows. And I think that kind of lends to fall a little bit. So pretty happy with that. Popped some in up here as well. And then planted some lambs there up there, and then popped some zinnias up in the window box as well. So starting to turn the corner on gardening. I'm really starting to get more excited to be out here when it's not 100 degrees out here and absolutely miserable. So you should start seeing some more garden content coming up very soon. Here is a boxwood I planted there. I planted one here. Here, one went right here, which I just transplanted the variegated one that was there. I obviously will need to trim these up. I need a lot of mulch. That's our next project. And then I need to work on filling in this area quite a bit. This is a pretty shady area over here. It gets a little sliver of afternoon sun, but not too much. So this is kind of my next little project will be over here, and then another boxwood right there. But I'll let these boxwoods get somewhat settled in and established. I think we're supposed to have some rain in a couple days and even potentially next week, and then the temps will be much cooler. So I think probably after a week or two, once they're a little bit more established, I'll get in here and I'll trim them up and get them real nice and sheared up. And I might just trim up and shear up kind of everything while I'm at it. I'm not sure. Like this boxwood, this is not new. This has put on a ton of growth since I trimmed them up last time. But overall, starting to turn the corner. I'm starting to get more excited about gardening. And I appreciate you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye. Oh, and I will also say that for the last 2 weeks, I was in Big Sky, Montana, and then we went to Alaska and Canada. And the temps there were phenomenal. The gardening in the summer with temps that are like 65 degrees and it rains pretty consistently. Wow, what a gardener's dream. I'm sure the winters aren't necessarily a gardener's dream, even though some of the places, when I was asking some of the locals and the people that were there that we saw, it doesn't get too terribly cold. Like Victoria, they mentioned that their winters get down to like 40. So that's not even below freezing. So maybe I'll move to Canada. I don't know. I mean, I was pretty jealous when we went. We did like a quick little tour through Victoria and it was beautiful. We are going to go back and spend an entire weekend in Victoria. Mosquito. Because it was phenomenal. They have really beautiful gardens. They have this public park that is a gardener's dream. I think the guy said it's 195 acres of public park, which is crazy. They had a lot of old historic homes there. We viewed some of them and it was just a phenomenal area. So I can't imagine gardening where it never really gets, like they said that it got up to like 75 a couple days before we were there, and they said that that was a heat wave. Like they were actually putting out like some heat advisories, and I'm sitting here going, wow, that's a dream. Obviously we get much, much hotter here, And if you're from Canada or if you're from that area, I assume that stuff that we were told is true. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but wow, what a gardening climate that you have if you don't get below freezing and you really don't get above 75. That's an absolute dream. So anyways, we'll be going back to Victoria to see all of that for an entire weekend, so we can manage to see more than we did while we were there. But it was beautiful. So was Alaska. Took a ton of pictures of plants, and I was just really jealous of their gardening climate. So at least of their summer climate. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.